Welcome everyone back to the channel. I am Pommy and Oz, and today I'm joined by two esteemed guests and two very, very good mates of mine. So it's a personal touch here at Pommy and Oz. To the left of me, I've got the great man, Aaron, and below me, you may have seen him on the channel before, big lad, Big Rowan Higgsy. How are we doing, gentlemen?
Doing great, man.
Yeah, mate. Still riding a high after the win on the weekend, and Geelong is 0-3, so it can't be better than that at the moment, really.
Well, it was a huge win for you boys, and I'll start with you, Aaron. How have you seen the Mitchell era? We know the press have said a lot in the press in the first couple of rounds. Lee Montagna coming out saying that Mitchell won't be there when you next be in the finals. There's been a lot of hate, but you've done it. You won last week against probably the best starters up till that point, North Melbourne, against your old boss. Must feel really good.
It does feel good. I'm one that doesn't count what happens at the moment as success as wins on the board. I like to see the progression and the effort there. I love what Mitchell's done in the rebuild. He's been ruthless with cutting out who's not going to be there in our next premiership window.
Yeah.
We've got a good core there, especially in the midfield and whatnot. So I do like what he's starting off with. It'll be interesting to see what happens from here. As long as they pick and stick, is probably the main key at the moment, I think.
I agree. And Higgsy, how have you seen it? Have you enjoyed the Mitchell era? Did you buy into the hate, or were you quite comfortable with what was going on?
Are you talking about through the Clarko transition into
Mitch?
Yeah, I was all for it, actually. I thought that, look, love Clarko, absolutely love him. He's got one of the, probably a GOAT coach, really. He's up there with, the best of all time. And I think that he's going to do good things at North. But, it's like, every club, when you look at the Collingwood with Buckley, they're stuck with that for a long time. Sometimes, change is as good as a holiday, and it's, true for everything. Also, I knew that Mitchell was, rumours were he's being targeted at other clubs. I know you want him in at Carlton. Pom, you would have been wrapped to get him and everything. And I think Hawthorn knew that. So I think they knew that there was either we're going to get him now or we'll never get him. So unfortunately, maybe that meant Clarko went a couple years prematurely. But, at sometimes, you've got to drop the axe. And, as far as gutting the list a little bit, like Warren said, I think that, look, O'Meara, Jaeger wasn't the biggest fan of. I just think that, you've got to do it. Same kind of thing. You've got to be ruthless. And I'm just, like Aaron said, like Warney said, I'm just really enjoying seeing the young blokes come through and, seeing them, it's going to be a bit of a slow burn, but I think it'll come around quicker than most people think. To be honest, we're copping a little bit of flack at the moment, as you know, but I reckon, just with the type of, just the way how competitive Mitch is as a coach, you saw him as a player and everything like that. If you're gonna go all in, throw your cards all in on the table, I think that he's definitely one to go with. So no worries from my end.
I love it, gentlemen. And obviously we've got a big game. This is probably the game that, as a neutral, is one that I pencil in that I'm going to sit my bum down and watch it. We're obviously covering it live on this channel. This is a really interesting game, though, because you've got the most experienced team in the competition, the oldest team in the competition in Geelong, versus the youngest team, which is Hawthorn. Two different ends. But I did say to Aaron off camera while we were waiting for you, Higgsy, that this game, no matter what is happening in the ladder, because of the hatred and the rivalry, always is a good game.
Yeah,
Aaron,
right.
your initial feelings walking into this game, obviously I'd imagine it's changed from last week, but how are you feeling about this matchup on paper?
Geelong obviously aren't going so great, and that is going to change. There's no doubt. You can't keep them down for too long. I think as we were also talking about, that the media feedback is what is most scary. You know, you're gonna kick them down. They're already hurting at 0-3. So,
yeah, poking the bear a little bit.
Yeah. So if there's a good way of really, prodding the hornet's nest, get the media involved and let's get them up and about and let's see us lose by 10, 15 goals. But I think that a lot of what I've seen from other teams so far and when they lost last year was that ball movement. They get cut up by ball movement and that fast action. As long as people can hit targets when they're doing it, they're beatable. And a dynasty never stays forever. So people will figure them out, and just hopefully we can sort of see a little bit of that in us too.
No, I love it. And Higgsy, how are you feeling? Are you nervous or are you up for the challenge for this one?
Yeah, like part of me, I was thinking about it. Part of me loves Easter Monday, but part of me hates it. I think the part of me that hates it too is I used to, during the era of the Kennett curse, I used to go to these games from, after 2008 onwards. And I just got so sick of it. I went with a mate that he's a good mate. He goes for Geelong and there was no bitterness there, but we just lose every single one for so long. And then we finally started beating them again. But yeah, and then I know it's lost a bit of the punch out of it. I mean, I guess obviously all that old Geelong side's moved on. So is Hawthorn. There's not really, any of those old rivalries there. Old players there from that rivalry, except maybe Bruce. It's probably, our oldest on the list. I'm just thinking to whether Mitch will remember. Do you know what I mean? I'm just wondering if behind closed doors, Mitch will bring up the history between the two. He'll start saying to him, look, they're wounded at the moment. Not write them off, but let's go here, let's go there. We're quicker. We're definitely quicker. So you can see how Geelong have been at the moment. They look slow. They're not moving the ball quick enough. Their forwards look, Hawkins is underdone massively. Cameron's one to watch out for. But yeah, so look, I'm not confident at all saying that because, as Aaron was saying, poke the hornet's nest and, Geelong are a champion team. They're one of the best clubs of the modern era, especially the past 15 years. So you can't write them off. So look, it'll be good. And I don't know, look, I reckon it'll be even. It'll be no matter, as you say, where they are on the ladder, it'll be an even contest. But yeah, so look, just take it as it comes, mate, and look forward to it.
Well, I mean, like you said, you touched on it. Obviously, Mitchell's played in a few of these when this game, like you said, was quite bitter. He's no stranger to this game. And I do think, I remember saying in the preview last week that I didn't mind Hawthorn against North. I didn't mind it. I thought the game meant a lot more to Mitchell than it did Clarkson. I think getting one up on your old boss would be a really good way to pay the media back. I think this game has the same thing. I think, like Aaron's touched on it, how you beat them, it is going hard. It's taking your chances. And I think Hawthorn have got nothing to lose. I think you can go into this game, be fearless. And if you do get stung by 80 points, it was expected. They are the reigning premiers. You guys are a young side. Like, do you expect, Aaron, your boys to come out there and just give it to them? Just take the game on and ask the question?
Yeah, I think the first two games, that's what we tried to do. First two games, it was always look to the corridor. It was look to take the game on. Last week, I think he almost done a bit of a double card on Clarko, where Clarko might have expected us to do the same thing. But we did a bit more, ball retention back to Clarko's way, which was, possessing the ball. The first 2 weeks of watching us, I thought, I love the way we're trying to attack, but everything can come predictable. So I think it's good that he threw in that little double card there. We weren't as predictable as what Clarko probably thought. So but I think this week we've got to go back to that fast ball movement and not necessarily that attack the centre thing, but move the ball fast, try to pick the good option, and just get the bloody thing forward.
And how are you feeling, Higgsy? Do you think you guys are going to come out all guns blazing?
Yeah. Obviously being Monday, we're not going to see too much of the final, what the final team list is, which will be, I guess we'll talk about the matchups a little later and what we think is going on there. So yeah, a little bit hard to say at this point. Don't know. Actually, that's a hard one. I'd say maybe. I think they might try and get the jump on them a little bit early if they can. The only thing that concerns me, just being a young team, I've seen it with us, is being able to run out games. We seem to start against Essendon. We started really well. We were right up there. For the first half, the second half was terrible. Well, Swans was a different story, but yeah, even with North, sort of in the third, they started coming back a bit, and in the fourth, they started. I think they came within 7 points at one stage. We were able to kick a few and ice it, but yeah, that would be the only thing that I'd be concerned about. Even if we do get the jump on them a bit and have a few, 2 to 3 goal lead, around mid stages of the game. Saying that though, Geelong, you saw them against Gold Coast. They're not really coming back. They're not really closing out games that well themselves. They look a bit tired, slow, a bit hungover. So, look, man, it'll be interesting. So, yeah.
And who are you guys looking at? So we're talking about key men. We obviously have just talked a little bit about selection. Obviously, Geelong are missing Sam de Koning. He's failed his concussion protocol. So that's a big out for them. We know, obviously, you guys are missing Mitch Lewis with the ACL and Chad Wingard's a test this week. But who are you looking at this week who could get you over the line? Who's the guy you're looking at and saying, if he has a big game, we've got a chance?
I don't see a particular person we got. I see that group of mids as our strength. Newcomb, McKenzie, Morrison, Ward. That's our strength, is to push it forward and get it in there. One thing I had been looking forward to seeing with Lewis out was Kosicki maybe stepping up to the mark, which obviously the first 2 rounds he didn't. He was butterfingers. There's no good way to say it. He was terrible. So Mitchell changed it up. That's good, but I think the key is, and I don't know where it's going to come from, but our mids get it forward, that quick ball movement, and then it's someone to bring it to ground for our smalls to work from there.
Well, you mentioned the smalls, Higgsy. We know you are probably the biggest super fan of Dylan Moore, a guy who we've covered on this show as probably one of the most underrated footballers in the league. Is there anyone that you think will stand out that potentially could get you across the line? Who are you hoping has a big day out on Monday night?
Yeah, well, obviously, as you know, I love Dylan Moore, favourite player without a doubt, and ripping bloke too. As you've met him, I've met him at a function a couple of years ago, and he's just getting better and better, and very underrated. Look, if he can break through, I think he'll break through. If he can break through, get he's playing a bit of midfield minutes and then moving forward, and he's kicking a few goals. So if he could kick 2 to 3 goals, that would be huge. I sort of see. I've been thinking about it a bit. I'm interested to see how our back line goes against their forward line. When as I was saying, you got Hawkins that's underdone. If we can keep, I don't know who'll match up on Hawkins. Maybe Blank. I'm not sure. Like if one of our key backs can sort of take him completely away, and if Sis can just run riot out of half back and just be a general from there, and we can move the ball quickly, I think that's good. I mean, he's going to show up. That Sis is going to be consistent. How damaging he is. The other one to look for is Frost too. Obviously his disposal hasn't been great, but he's been pretty good defensively over the past few matches too. So I think if we can nullify their forwards a bit and just get that ball out of there quick and run it back. I reckon that's going to put the heat on them a little bit. But then, as I said, with our forward line too, Mitch Lewis being out, Cozzy being Butterfingers, Fergus Green's been good. The other one to watch for, if you looked at the weekend, is Tyler Brockman. What he did against North, if he can, have 2 in a row, back that up, I think that'll be, having a small forward, running around there. I think that, that might help.
No, I agree with you, and I really like. I'm being bullish on the Hawks list. I've got a lot of people on the show have criticised I've overrated Hawthorn after their first couple of games, but validated last week. But the guy that I've really enjoyed, who I thought was sensational last week, and it's been a long time coming because it feels like we haven't talked about him for months. CJ, I thought CJ really settled into his role, and I think the ball's going to come in a lot. We know Geelong like them strength in numbers in the inside 50. CJ there, I think he's the forgotten man, because I know when we played you guys a couple of years ago, CJ tore us apart with our constant entries towards Harry Mackay. And is that something that you think he may be able to get out? Because obviously Cameron is that danger man, isn't he?
CJ in full form is just ridiculous to watch. He can do anything. So it's just getting that consistency. But yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I don't know. What do you think, Aaron?
He's a very, very exciting young lad. Just anything you watch him doing, he's just freakish. And he is a real highlight in our back line. So I look forward to seeing what we can build, not so much around him, but he is that star in our back line. Obviously, aside from the general Sicily, as Higgsy mentioned before, but to really give us what Mitchell's trying to do, that exciting attacking game. That's what CJ is off the back line too. He really provides some real fire down back, I reckon.
He does. He's a dangerous transitional threat, and that obviously that's the modern day game now. Transition. If you can get the ball out the back line quick, it's how you hurt the opposition. And talking about forward lines, obviously Jeremy Cameron, he's been touch and go for all 3 rounds. I know as a Carlton fan, we were hoping Mrs. Cameron went into labour. He had his baby 2 days ago, so he will be. This is probably the first game he's a lock to play. Hopefully the sleepless nights affect him. But
yeah,
who will
I was
get
about to say, if he's had not much sleep, I'm going to be hoping for that. Yeah.
Who's going to get the job though on Jeremy Cameron? Are they going to give that to Frost and hope he does a lockdown? Are you going to get creative? Is Sicily maybe going to run with him and try and lead him up the ground a little bit? That's where he likes to do his work. Who do you think gets that job on big Jeremy Cameron?
I think you got to give it to Frost. There's not a huge amount of option there. As Higgsy said before, Blank's up and coming. He's not tried and true. As a defender and effort, then Frost is our man. Gets the ball in his hands, and he has tended to butcher it a fair bit. But if you want to keep him on. Keep Cameron honest, then I think Frost's the way to go.
Yeah, well, if Frost is on him too, it'll allow Sis to float a bit more. So it's probably a good call, I reckon.
It's going to be interesting. I mean, is there anyone else there at North? I know at Geelong, the guy who has got a lot of criticism in the press has been Paddy Dangerfield. Obviously, he's been much talked about in the media, and it started when Carlton were playing them that he was a bad choice of captain. And every time we play someone, I look in the media that week and go, who are you slagging off? Because if it's someone that he's playing Carlton, he's probably going to have a good game. Danger's copped it the last 3 weeks. These are the type of games Danger comes out and plays, isn't it? A Monday night, a primetime game, a focus game. Do you think the game's gone past Danger, or is he someone that you guys are genuinely worried about, Aaron? Is that someone that you worry about?
Yeah, absolutely. He's a big game player, and you don't get his reputation and be around for that many years without learning a few things and learning when you need to step up to the plate. So yeah, he's absolutely he can put the damage on the scoreboard. He can crash through the packs. He can tear us up through the midfield. So there's lots and lots to watch out for, and he's one, like you said before, that will come in on the back end of those rivalry games, and we'll try to lead from the front too, I think.
Is that someone you're worried about, Higgsy?
Yeah, I agree. Mine goes back to a few years ago when he was injured, and they, I think it was about 4 or 5 years ago, and they put him down forward, and he tore us apart. Like I think he did his hammy, or I don't know what he did. He was pretty cooked. He ended up kicking like 4 or 5 goals in the forward line, and we ended up losing. And I think by memory, Smith had a chance to kick the goal at the end and missed it again. So, you know, and then he goes to Geelong. So he's always really played for him ever since then anyway, hasn't he? But yeah, look, danger is being captain, being 3 down. You know, there'd be a lot of pressure on him. You know, he's a brilliant player. It's kind of like, yeah, it's a massive game for him too. So it's, you know, don't be surprised if he comes out and goes really, really hard. Hope he goes too hard and cops an injury, but you know, yeah, can't write him off. So yeah, I'm expecting a big one from Danger, to be honest with you. Backs to the wall. Champions like that don't go down easy. So yeah, watch out.
And obviously we're a couple of days away from team selection, with it being a Monday game. We won't know, but one of the guys who is a potential in for you is a guy that feels like he's been around forever, but probably not giving his best work. But one of the senior players at your guys, Chad Wingard. Do you expect any changes from the team that won last week? And Wingard being a test, is that someone that you might float through this game, Aaron? Is that someone that you think his X factor could be important?
He is a very important player. He's a very senior player with our very junior list. So I think if there's any chance of playing him and him getting through, then absolutely we do. Showed some miraculous things, obviously through the time, especially that spinning goal there the other week. Yeah, that's the thing. We need leadership. We're a very young side. We need leadership. We need people to show our young people how it's done. So, I think if Wingard is a 70% an up chance, then I think they throw the dice on him.
What about you, Higgsy? Are you bringing Wingard in for this one?
Yeah, if he's declared fit, you play him, no doubt. In a game like this, you got to, you can't not. Yeah, he'll do some good things, and yeah, he's too good a player not to. He's definitely firmly in probably he'd be in top 10, you'd say, for experience wise and all that. I mean, he can be he can sort of go a bit cold a little bit, Chad. The only thing that sort of is a little bit hard to watch about him too, but when he's on, gosh, he's good. So yeah, just hope that he brings that in a big game, and he can sort of breaks, get us, just get us over in a few areas,
He's one of them big game players. I mean, I'm a sucker for a player as well with a tattoo. And looking at your list, you're very clean-skinned, the Hawks. It's probably because they're all 18 years old. So he just ups the fear factor.
It's a family club thing.
But there is something about Wingard. The other guy I wanted to talk about, who I think this year is made for him, is Mr. Warple. He's kind of gone quiet in the last couple of years. He was sensational the year Tom Mitchell and Jaeger were in and out of the side with their injuries. Is he a guy that you're expecting big things from? Because we saw a couple of years ago, this kid looked like he could be a top 10 player in the league. And then he kind of faded. He's got kind of that senior responsibility here, though. Like when you look at that midfield, he's almost a veteran compared to them. Is that something that you think, working with probably the best midfielder we've seen at maximising their talent, in Sam Mitchell. He got every ounce of talent out of his body. Is he someone that you can see who's going to really flourish in this role for the Hawks? Aaron, is he someone you're looking at?
I think he's one of the ones that we're on that knife edge of whether they're going to advance in their career or whether they're just going to stagnate out. Like you said, he had a good year, couple of good years, and it just really went a bit sour, especially last year. So I think Mitchell will be a great influence on him. He's got a lot of talent there, just needs to realise his potential. So there's a couple of blokes that I earmarked this year to go, right, well, this year's your year to shine. Like you said, a couple of big midfield outs now. Right, it's time to step up, and let's see if you can do it. The spotlight's on him now.
Yeah, he's definitely he's an older player. I couldn't believe he's played in 80 games and he's 24. It feels like he's been here 5 minutes, but it also feels like he's been there forever. Higgsy, is he a player that you think can really hit the mark? Because I think his best is good enough with the best in the league.
Yeah, look, I hope so. As you're saying with Titch and O'Meara gone, it's only really a positive for him as far as his, as far as what he can do and just sort of what, obviously, he's in. We believe in him, Hawthorn believe in him. He's in a lot of our marketing material, you would see on the website and the photos and everything like that. He's one of the leaders of the club and everything. So they're clearly, they're invested in him. They have faith in him. He's been pretty good the past few games. He's been, racking up those disposals and having an impact. I was a bit worried pre-season when I saw that game against Geelong. I thought he was awful, but then against Collingwood, he turned that around. He was really good, and he's been quite consistent and promising. So if he can get better, sky's the limit, definitely.
And moving into this weekend, put you under the pressure, Aaron. Game final siren goes. Who wins?
I would really love to say that we get one up over Geelong, especially since my brother's a Geelong supporter, and obviously that's been a big rivalry. But honestly, I see 6 goals to Geelong. If we get within 4 goals, I call it a win.
I think you're the first person to tip against your team. That's amazing. I love it, Aaron.
That's a realist in me, Pom. Sorry.
Higgsy, are you a realist, or have you been watching too much Daz at Talk Footy? He starts to believe now.
Yeah, Hawks by 25. No, look, yeah, I don't reckon it's as. Look, I reckon probably Geelong by a couple goals. Like I'd say that's sort of realistically looking. I just don't look. I won't if we get up, if our boys get up, I won't be surprised. Like I will sit there and I won't be surprised at all. However, you got to look at. I think the Cats have got way more to lose than what we do, and it's a massive game for them. I mean, and I hope they lose. Like, don't get me wrong, I'll be going off, but yeah, I think them by a couple. To be honest, I think we'll give a good fight, but I just think we might. I just think they might just do something and get over the line and big blockbuster game at the G. The Cats. They can't
afford to go 0-4.
No,
they can't afford to. It just
pains me to say it, but yeah, look, and I hope we're wrong.
Absolutely.
I've got to say the comedian in me would smile a little bit if there was 0-4, because I've got to say, Geelong, as a Carlton fan, we've beaten a few sides in the last year or two, but I've never heard a team whinge as much as Geelong when we beat them. And it's actually confusing me. Do you know what I mean? So, no, lads, thank you very much for joining me. Obviously, you'll see these lads on here. They are mates of mine. You've seen Higgsy a few times. He pops his head up, so you've got faces to see. Thank you very much, gents. I wish you the best of luck. We will be live Monday I will be watching this game, maybe with a couple of beers. If you lads want to get on the website as well, chat, merch is here. I'm rocking it, so you can look as sexy as I am. But Higgsy, Aaron, you're legends in my book. Thank you very much, and see you soon, my friends.
Mate, it's been a pleasure. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Pom.